Yeah. I started out flying FPV about 10 years ago now. I'm now 30 years old. I come from a small village in the Austrian mountains, and I used to study business and IT in Switzerland, but I canceled the studies to pursue my dream to start TBS as a company about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So now I'm in Hong Kong, and now we're building drones. TBS is about 15 people now, I think.
Okay.
I haven't counted. A lot of customer support and assembly also, and packing and shipping and warehouse management and all those kind of things. So we do everything from production to assembly to shipping.
Okay.
So we are not a traditional manufacturer. We are also not a traditional FPV hobby shop. We kind of are in the middle of both. Every drone that we sell goes through at least one quality step here in Hong Kong. So, for example, on the Gemini, every Gemini that we sold was test flown here in our facilities.
Okay.
It was assembled by someone else, but we tested it, and we had one special guy testing it. So we are always at least the last step between the manufacturer and the end customer or the retailer. Well, I travel about once every 2 to 3 months, because I get claustrophobic when I stay at the same place for a long time.
Okay.
So I usually try to combine it with a business trip plus some personal time plus meeting some friends. It's always a little bit of everything, but it's always revolved around FPV. It's about 13, 14 hours a day. Yes, I sleep about 8 hours, but my time zone is a little bit shifted because of we have a lot of our engineers are in Switzerland, so we have a lot of meetings at night. For me, for them, it's lunchtime. So there is like a little park. I usually walk to the office, and I walk past a little park, and I try to get maybe one battery in, because when I'm walking home at 4 o'clock, there's nobody there, so I can just have one last battery before I go to sleep. Let me just check when the meeting was. I think it was early July. No, June. Sorry, early June of last year. That we went to a FPV meeting in Austria, and I saw this frame. It's called the Beetle V2.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was using a carbon fiber tube that he just cut on both ends, and then he kind of slided in the electronics, and he bolted on some arms. And I really like the concept. We had been experimenting with carbon fiber for, I think, over 2 years now. So we have a lot of knowledge on how to process carbon fibers. We have a lot of prototype frames that are like the full carbon fiber monocoque. So usually when we do research, it's not for a specific product, it's for a specific purpose. And then once we have the knowledge, we will try to apply that purpose onto a product. So when I saw this frame, we opened up a project and we started designing. And then we finished off with this.
Yeah.
And in the center of it is a carbon fiber monocoque.
Yes, full carbon.
That you can see here. Full carbon.
Oh, crazy.
This is the only plastic piece.
The lead protector.
Yeah, and this is maybe 35 grams, I think, or 40 grams. So it's really, really lightweight. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the electronics are on a plastic tray, so they slide in from the front.
Okay, that's what I meant. Okay.
And so they are easily accessible. very early in the conception phase, we talked to our team pilots, who at that time were Pishaw and Mr. Steele.
Yeah.
So they were heavily involved in just giving us the high-end figures, like a 240 size, 5-inch props, HQ tri-blades, the Cobra motors, those kind of parameters. And well, Cobra motors not anymore. They wouldn't suggest it anymore, I guess, but we stuck with them because I think it's a great motor.
Yes.
The idea phase was basically only us. So we looked into how to manufacture it, because the pilots, they're not really involved in the manufacturing much. So they don't know what is the cheap material, what are our capabilities. Once we had the first prototype, we hand-made the first prototypes, and we sent them out to Magnus and a couple of local pilots here, basically just to crash test and see what would break. And then we went into the second phase, and then finalizing the design. And since then, that was about 4 months ago. So within those 4 months, Magnus and 2 local team pilots have been flying the Vendetta pretty much like once every week at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, Ross came to us and helped us to look at it from professional racer point of view, basically. So he helped us to finalize the quick release ideas, whether it was a good idea or not, stress tests, this kind of thing. And he's also been flying the Vendetta now for I would say almost 2 months now.
Okay.
We've always seen the Gemini as a kind of an experimentation platform. So the time we came out with the Gemini, it was the first hex or quad ever to have forward swept arms. It was one of the first designs, I think, ever to really consider aerodynamics. It was one of the first designs to ever use PCB as the base material, and I hope it will be one of the last, because that was not very successful. So the Gemini has always been a little bit ahead of everybody else, and a very, very risky concept.
Yeah.
And the version 2, we are working on a lot of things that we consider to be very, very next level. And we are thinking about putting those into the Gemini 2. I don't have any specific plans yet for bringing the Gemini to market, but the Gemini will stay, and the Gemini 1 and the Gemini 2 would be something completely different, but again, with the idea behind it, let's try something new, like almost like a concept car that you can buy. The race blade just came out with hot swappable arms, and I think it's one of to me, it's a very basic necessity, that because you break so much stuff, you have to be able to repair it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
This is also why we came up with the power cube and with the screwing mechanisms between the ESCs, because we never bring a soldering iron to the field, because the soldering work there is just always shit, and it ends up breaking more than it fixes. So I wouldn't, it's a new concept, but I wouldn't call it as risky as what we are doing with the Gemini.
Okay.
Or with the Gemini 2 that we're working on right now. I've flown the prototype, or one of the prototypes, and at the moment there is no battery for it that can keep it in the air long enough. So 2 flights cost you 2 batteries. Yeah. That's why it's a little bit too edgy, I think. It's at least smaller than 250. Actually, I haven't checked what we ended up with. It's not the 240. I think it's 241 or 243.
Whoa.
Something like this. And for me, there's no point to have a round number on the back. It's just whatever feels right in the air is where it's going to be. And the goal was to make something smaller than 250 so that it can fly in a 250 class. You have the body here, and these are the arms.
Okay.
So they're almost the same length.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it. Yes, it's not an X design. The body is the propeller distance is wider than long.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's a little deceiving because the body is so thin, so it looks a little bit longer than wide, but the propellers are further apart than long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much identical to the Blackout H-Quad and also the Alien Impulsor C Alien frame. We are working on 6-inch and 7-inch versions right now.
Whoa.
We don't have the motor yet for the 7-inch version. To me, this is also a really great model to just take on your holidays and just fly a little bit. And we used to do that with Discovery and Discovery Pro, but the footage that you get from this is so smooth that we want to make a version where you can fly much longer with it. Like with the 5-inch props, you can basically fly maybe 4 minutes. And the idea with the 7-inch props is that you can get maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes of flight time. Right now, we're sticking with 3.5 millimeters, and we will have a 4.5 millimeter upgrade version, either or as an additional accessory, either directly on launch or shortly after. And the reason for this is because if somebody is just starting out, he doesn't care too much about weight, but he wants absolute stability. Whereas the 3.5 millimeters are a compromise between weight and stability. So we have seen arms break in very, very hard crashes, for example, in a parking garage or something like this. So we were actually asking customers what would they favor, and from the initial feedback, it seems like some people would prefer to have something that's absolutely unbreakable rather than something that also fits within certain weight constraints. So if you're a beginner, or because it's a quick swap arms, you can just prepare 2 arms with 4.5 millimeters and 2 arms with 3.5 millimeters. And if you're flying, for example, in a parking garage where it's very tough on the equipment, you can use the thicker arms. And otherwise you can use the thinner arms, because the arms are not going to break if you fly in a grassy environment. It's impossible to break it. But if you hit concrete, then everything breaks eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's more easy if you have a unified solution. So the Clean Flight already gives you the power to change to change pretty much every color and so many options that we thought, this is enough for people. Additionally, what we've also done is we've given the Core Pro access to the LED board. This here it's a prototype without the plastic on the back. So normally it looks like this.
Yes.
So the Core Pro has access to the video transmitter channels, so it will set the video transmitter channels, and we will also be releasing on the launch. We have a formula to convert frequency into a color.
Oh, good.
So the LED colors can be set to show the frequency that you're on.
Okay.
So if you are wondering whether you interfere with somebody, you can just compare the 2 colors, and if the colors are very close to each other, then your frequencies are also very close to each other. One moment, I will just grab one of the production models. So, okay, this here is the arm.
Yeah. Yes.
And here you can see this is how the connectors come. And this here is just a tape.
Okay.
So you can just tear off the tape, and then one moment. the wires are actually cut into the arms. So the arms have a little inside that goes through here, and this here is just a plastic cover
to protect.
I don't have the right screwdriver. So this is a M2 screwdriver, and it's also very important. We only use one tool for the whole. Every screw is a M2 in the quad.
Good idea, yes.
Except the one to the camera tilt. So we spent a lot on screw tooling to make custom screws because not every screw is available in. So hang on, I will just remove the motor. So there are 2 screws holding in the motor.
Yeah.
And 2 screws are holding in the plastic and the motor. So in total, there's 4 screws holding on the motor. And then you can just pull off the plastic. Hang on. So like this.
Yes.
And then you push the connector, and this is one of the very tight versions.
What's the name of the connectors, Trappy?
MT30.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll just need to bang this.
That's kind of a strange demonstration. Okay. Okay.
I think this is one of the versions that
it didn't came off.
It was really hard. So once you have the motors out, you can just
unsolder the MT30. Yeah. Okay. No, it's going. Okay.
There's no soldering required, and then it will just fit through here. It's all very, very tight, but yeah, without soldering, you can remove the entire motor. And then you have you can get a set.
Yeah.
And it will just go in the way it came. So let me think, like this. So basically, you push it through here.
Yeah.
And then you push the motor inside like this here.
Yes.
And you pull the wires through and you twist it. And then you push it back up again. You can change just the motor or you can change the entire arm.
Yeah.
When you crash into something and you have just one motor broken, this here is doable in 3 to 5 minutes, I would say, without any special tools. And I mean, just to change the arm, it's even faster because the arms are just bolted on by 4 screws to the bottom of the quad. So there you can see the 4 screw holes.
Yeah.
And then the arm just is on like this.
Okay.
I don't have any of the production versions here, but basically it's a little foam piece that sits on top here.
Yeah.
And you can see there are 2 holes for straps that go over the GoPro.
Yeah.
So like this. And then there are 2 holes for straps here and here that go across. So like this.
Yeah.
So you can go in an X shape over the GoPro and then it will never fall out. And we have a 10-degree and a 30-degree angle. No, it's included inside.
Okay.
Yes. Inside there's the TBS Zero Zero. I don't think you can see the logo. But
Yeah.
Yes. And also all of the rest of the electronics. I mean, we've been waterproofing electronics since, I think about 1.5 years.
Okay.
All of our products are pretty much not waterproof, but water resistant. It's basically a standard version without the plastic pad on the bottom.
Okay.
So this part here is removed.
Okay.
And also of course the connectors are different. Because on the standard power cube, we just have the straight bullet connectors, and now we are using the MT30 connectors. It's actually in this configuration, it's 30 amps because you have holes that guide the air through.
Okay.
So it's a 30 amp ESC that can do 50 amps burst and up to 6S.
Okay.
So we are also looking into 6S package for the Vendetta. Yes. Yes. It will basically come like this. So you have the the body and the arms.
Yeah.
They will ship separately. There's two reasons for this. One is we want to decrease the size for shipping.
Of course.
So you can see it's very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is we have to open it up and install the receiver. The receiver installs pretty much this here is the receiver compartment. Yes, no problems. D4R, X4R, there are Futaba transmitters, Spectrum transmitters. Pretty much every major manufacturer has a receiver that can fit without any kind of modification. The price is about $500. It will be lower than $500 eventually. We're just ironing out whether it will be $470 or $480 basically.
Okay.
It's very difficult to talk about availability right now because all of my manufacturers are on holiday. So that was one of the problems because the Vendetta leaked a little bit unplanned, and it was on the first day of Chinese New Year, basically. Yeah. So we've been a little bit stuck and trying to reach some of the people, whether to get some exact dates. But I don't know if we can make the 6-inch and the 7-inch arms available with the launch, but obviously it's planned.
Okay, cool.
Pre-order date should be either today, so that's the 8th of February, or tomorrow, the 9th of February. Shipping will begin end of February. We have a couple hundred units already built, so they are pretty much, they only need to be test flown and shipped. Nobody is picking them up at the moment because everybody's on holiday. So yeah, we will need about 2 weeks to finish them here and then start to ship. So this is the final version of all the plastic parts. It has been flown for about 2 months now. So here you can see we engrave our logo on the back, on the bottom here, so it's not too too loud, I would say. And then here you can see these are the motor covers on the bottom.
Yeah.
Some skid plates here to protect the motors. And this here is a crossfire antenna. I just put a shrink tube over it to protect it against the propellers.
Mm-hmm.
This is the battery connector, so it's very, very, very short to the PDB, and we did this to reduce the weight. The power cube sits right here, and here's the battery connector.
Mm-hmm.
And we did this to reduce the weight and also to shorten the battery cables because you have quite a bit of loss on the battery cables itself. On this amount of hours. So the power cube sits here. Then we have the Core Pro here, and underneath the Core Pro is the Unify Pro. And it comes out on the back with the antenna like this. 10 LEDs on the back, normally covered by plastic piece.
Uh-huh.
This is the TBS Triumph, but this is one of the early production models which doesn't have any logos printed.